Hi, YouTubers. How's everybody doing? I'm hoping that's the right link that I wanted to share. It's a link to the Tony Timpa video, and I hope goes to the right place. It's bothering me so much, so much. It's bothering me that I just can't imagine that Tony Timpa's, death got so overlooked by the media. And it is really the media, you know what I mean? Because there's body cam footage of him, of what happened to him. Hey, Mr. Rourke, how are you doing? It's not Easter yet, is it? Easter Sunday, isn't it? um, Happy Easter to you too as well. How are you? I'm fine. I'm all right. I was talking to my sister, and she had told me about that incident at the Capitol building, and and I had gone through some of the comments, and of course, our race always comes into play, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at that Tony Timpa video, but the thought that it wasn't that was never never made a big deal of. The media didn't make a big deal of it. Those officers, the charges were dismissed, overturned. Their family didn't get a wrongful death suit. And it is clearly more disturbing than the George Floyd. I'm sorry, it is. It is more disturbing. I think, probably the reason why is because it's, so close, it's close up. It's not, like at a distance like that one was. I really don't even, you know, hey XX, how you doing? Nice to see ya. I know I keep going on about this Tony Timpa, but he sticks in my head because he didn't get justice, and now this trial is going on for this Derek Chauvin, and I'm sorry, but we all know that if he is found not guilty, we all know what the reaction will be. That, basically it will be just a chaos, another riot, destroying people's property, burning things down, defacing things. You know what? That's illegal. Hey, Lemon, how you doing? But that's illegal. Yeah, it's illegal to go around destroying property and thinking that, because you're mad because a trial didn't go your way, that you could go away and go around and destroy things. I mean, are you kidding me right now? I think he should be, you know what? He should be charged, but not until the people who killed Tony Timpa are charged. Not until they're charged. They got to get charged first. And that $27 million wrongful death suit, that should be split between Tony Timpa. It shouldn't even come from, it should have to come from the fam. That shit should have to come from the family. My sister told me that she was, like doing DoorDash, right? Because, yeah, I don't know, whatever, just for part-time kind of thing, whatever. But in Florida, and I don't know if it's everywhere with DoorDash, but in Florida, you have to buy, the 27 million is too much. That's disgusting. Disgusting. But my sister told me she had to purchase extra car insurance because the her car insurance they won't cover it if something happens when you're, if it's the DoorDash thing. So they won't cover it. So she had to purchase extra insurance. Okay, huh. So police officers or police departments don't, but somebody doing DoorDash does? Like, are you kidding me? Like, if I, you know, choose to do a job in my car and I pay my insurance, where do they get off saying, they're not going to call? Okay, stop. Oh my God, these animals. All right, Roscoe. Hey, get off him. Don't you ever do that to him. Oh, these animals. But I'm just, oh my God. I think I have too many animals. I'm just saying, like, okay, no, none of that. No, 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 no. Go play with something else. Nothing so noisy. You gotta be kidding me. Give me a second, please. Yeah. Go play with something else. Find a toy. God. Ugh. I know, right? I agree, Lemon. Bad Roscoe. um, yeah, that 27 million, that comes from the taxpayers. That's coming from the city, which they're going to cut social programs. And then they're going to be bitching, saying, well, our school's like this, and this is this, and this is this. Well, hey, ask, ask the Floyd family. They get the money for the social programs and the school programs. It doesn't come from the police. That qualified immunity doctrine covers them. It covers them. Qualified immunity. Unless that is repealed, which would solve so many issues in one full swoop, then, I mean, I just can't believe that Tony Timpa's case is just, I've been in live streams, okay, that where somebody, and I'm just going to use the colors, okay, white and black, white and black, white and black, they're colors. You see that little banner on the bottom of the screen? See where it says Bad Roscoe? That's in white. See the writing? It's black. See the ring around me? It's black. It doesn't make me a racist. Okay? There's crayons that say white and black. Zebras are black and white. I mean, I'm getting so sick and tired. These riots, after every time something doesn't go their way, that some people want it to, they need to be arrested. If you think you're too cool to put, come on now, that's my song. What about that one who was kneeling and unarmed in the hotel hallway and got shot for no reason? I didn't hear about that one. But did you hear about Tony Timpa? I mean, if anybody, you should go and you should check out the video that I put. And I'm sorry, but when I did a video about him a while back, and his mother saw it, and this was on Facebook. It was through a group. I mean, the video is on YouTube, but there was like a Justice for Tony Timpa Facebook group, and she saw the video, and she said, "Thank you for covering, what happened to my son. Look at that video that I posted in the beginning. I mean, he called the police himself, and I mean, really, 27 million, and that family, because they were white, they got no wrong. And I'm not kidding. And that is the fact. I did a lot of research when I was, doing my officer involved shootings, and they were biased. They were not, for the officer, for the person. They were just telling the stories. And I'll tell you that the percentage of white families that actually succeeded in getting wrongful death suits was a lot lower than what black families were getting. And I mean, I can't comprehend that it is not defined as racism when they're screening only black names. I'm not, I am not racist. I'm just so annoyed and angry that anybody should have to sit wondering what the hell is going to happen if that verdict doesn't go a certain way. Yeah, I can't comprehend, cannot comprehend it. And it's clearly murder. It was homicide. It was clearly murder in Tony Timpa's case. They murdered him. And we're laughing, 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 laughing. They were laughing out loud. And that's body cam footage, you know? Oh, sure. Nobody cared enough to film that from their camera, huh? It's ridiculous. Oh, and here's another one. Okay, so if George Floyd was unarmed, even though he was high on drugs behind the wheel of a car that he was refusing to come out from behind, then the guy that killed the officer at the Capitol building with his car, doesn't that mean that that was a weapon and he killed somebody with his car? So doesn't that mean that, you know, in actuality, if you can kill, if they say, you know, drunk driving is a crime, you could kill somebody with your car, you get behind the wheel and you're this, you're that, right? And doesn't that mean that he was armed with a weapon? A car is a deadly weapon. I don't care. It is. And he was refusing to come from behind that car. I am just so tired of the media. And the media is the ones inciting all this because that's what they're publishing. You know, I'm not blaming any certain color for not being angry about Tony Timpa, okay? But on those channels, and I will see, you know, people in the room, and they might ask the host about Tony Timpa, and they may talk about him in the room. And if it's a predominantly black group, they just don't even acknowledge it. They don't even say a word. And most white people don't even know who he is. And that's the media's fault. Well, life's never fair, is it? Life's never fair. It's really not. It's absolutely. I mean, really. I mean, really, half the people like that are, you know, millionaires or such dicks. You know what I mean? And you're like, wow, good people are, you know, they just get the shaft, and mean, evil people. So all sorts of stuff happens every day that could go one way or another, and does. It sure does. It sure does. But bottom line is, I don't find it okay for people to go around destroying things and shit like that when it doesn't go their way. You know? So you see what you're saying there? Oh, handcuff him? I don't even have a clue why. I wondered that myself. I wondered why they never even had, you know, any kind of, you know, more. That's a good question, XX. I mean, if you could find that out for me, I'd like to know, because I I I would love to know. He called the police himself. He called the police himself. So he was waiting for the police himself, Tony Timpa. So, yes, why did the security guard handcuff him? I mean, why? So he couldn't call the police anymore? Did he not know that he had already called the police? Right? Why would somebody call the police himself and then some frickin' control freak security guard that was too probably psychologically damaged to get on the actual police force, comes along. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what she's asking about Tony. Yeah, that's that's what I'm saying. He Tony Timpa called the police himself. There was no reason for that. No reason. It's the most disgusting. Just if I'll tell you what, if that was my kid. Oh my God. People would know. I mean, she's a lot more calmer than me, I guess, because ma'am, wouldn't be okay. Wouldn't be okay. I mean, I'm telling you, I just can't imagine that we all have to sit here, on eggshells about the results of that particular case. Now, if he does get charged with it, that will set a precedent, and we do want that. We do want a precedent of police having to answer for their actions. So that would be a good thing to come out of it. It would actually be good if he gets charged. So he should get charged because yes, he could have pepper sprayed him. Are you telling me that all those other cops that just stood around watching couldn't have, don't be a cop then if you can't, Yeah, but I'm talking about more like Tony Timpa Lemon, you know? Because I mean, I really haven't either, but yeah, it's not that I haven't. I'm just thinking about it all the time. I think about Tony Timpa. It's like, yeah, I think the security guard should be too. Yep, exactly. Security guard should be too. Should be. That poor guy called the police himself. That security guard was, you know, yeah, that was the point. I keep confusing who you're talking about. Mostly Tony Timpa, because it's really been on my mind for, the last year. And when his mother said, you know, thank you for doing the video about my son, you had mostly every detail right. At that point, the charges hadn't been overturned, hadn't been dismissed and overturned. Right? Keep up, Lemon. Dang. I mean, my point is that a precedent needs to be set about, police brutality. Oh my God, these animals are killing me. It does need to be set. And that is the point. Like, that's why they always, oh, my cat's okay. Okay, you all right? You all right? What you bang into? Whatever. Hopefully he's okay. So anyhow, what I was saying was that 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 big old eye, it creeps me out. Yeah, that's the thing. When I looked up two different things. I looked up crimes against, white people from. I'm sorry, I just, looked up two different things. I said white people killed by blacks and black people killed by whites. Looked them both up, and the in actuality, all the same, uh, sites came up, like, choices. All the same choices came up, but they were mostly focused on, saying, oh, blacks face more of this, blacks face more of that. Uh, when I was doing my officer involved shootings research, I'll tell you what, I was writing down, their color, their age, state, and honestly, it was about even. It was even. Oh God, oh fuck, man, I'm just about ready to freaking get rid of them all. My God, did they give me one break? Anybody want two cats and a dog? You hear the saying, white people won't speak up when something happens to theirs. You are right. You are right. You are right. I don't know to put that on, but you know what? I'm gonna put it on because I don't even. You know what? I'm putting that on because you're right. Like, what are we, chickens? I mean, really? You hit the nail on the head, and that is the problem. That therein lies the issue. But I guarantee you, we would all be worried about repercussions, right? Repercussions, repercussions, which we should be. But it just seems like here's that. Okay, remember that city in Washington, was it Seattle or whatever, that they took over, and um, I mean, full of graffiti, and now it's just like, oh, smashed windows, all that shit and everything. It's not. They didn't. They just left. They just went, and it's not like cleaned up. It's not back to the way it was and everything. I don't even understand why. Isn't breaking windows and spraying graffiti all over the place, defacing things, burning things, isn't that illegal? Since when did the laws change? If okay, I'd have to say that after that display, that, and I'm not being, I am not racist. I'm not racist. I'm just so annoyed. For one, about that 27 million. That 27 million, that is out of line. That that is out of line because it's going to come from the schools. That's going to come from the social programs. It's going to come from the senior programs. Here's the thing: what pissed me off, the VP Harris and a few others was bailing everyone else. What does that mean? The VP Harris. I know who the Harris is, but a few others was bailing everyone else. Oh, bailing them out? I've seen it for a stand-down order is in place, and they don't. Yeah, and then I mean I saw like a lot of, but they might get a visit later. That happens a lot too. What does that mean? People do get arrested. Her thing. What do you mean she was bailing everybody out of jail? Really? I was watching a lot of those. They were like live streams, and they were um like a lot. They have a lot of white kids were marching with them too, right? Like white teens and early 20s and stuff, marching with them too. And a visit from the police later on. Oh, yeah, but not if they don't have a name, you know? I mean, they all just bailed right out of there. And I don't even think there's like that side, like Washington and Oregon, they don't even have a big black population anyway, So I'm saying, like, they all just went there, destroyed these places, and you know what? There is a lot of police brutality in Oregon. Oh, once police identify, yeah, they all had masks on. They had masks on them, a lot of them. Um, Oregon does have like a real issue with police brutality, really bad, and on white. Okay, if I'm saying Oregon has a bad problem with police brutality, but they only have like a population of blacks like 4% or something. Um, so there you have it. I mean, it's not a racial thing. It's that qualified immunity doctrine. That you could find one. But yeah, I'm sure some do get it. I'm sure most of them do. I really am. I was saying they were having these live streams going, like being right there. And one night they were all march. Oh, let me tell you this stuff. As it would get later, it would turn out that only like the white kids, when the cops would come in, and the blacks would just be gone. Okay, gone, presto, vanish. And then they'd have all these like teen, maybe early 20 white kids. The cops would all sitting on the curb, like gonna get arrested or whatever. Who knows? But all those black people, they were gone, gone. And I mean, like an hour earlier, they're marching through the street and they're at this building. And they wanted they wanted a building. It was like a high rise apartment building, a nice one. And they wanted this building to open its doors. It was a security building. But of course, the guy behind the thing is like, no. I mean, there's this freaking mob out there. So they put this like young black kid, I'm sorry, young white kid up there and say, here, they'll put the white boy up there. They'll open the door for him. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? And I'm not racist. I have friends of many races and colors and stuff like that, but 27 million and Tony Timpa's family, nothing. So that to me is like, okay, all right, well, there's some brutality from the court systems to the white people. I mean, I'm telling you, I counted. It was even. It's not racing. Cops are just ordered. Following shoot for the most part is the biggest problem, especially the ones that get anywhere. Cops are just order following for the most part is the biggest problem. No, the biggest problem is the qualified immunity doctrine. That is the biggest problem. That is the biggest problem. They are not held responsible for if, say they run a red light and they don't have their, lights going, but they run a red light and they kill somebody or they're on their phone or anything. They are not held responsible for that. They just, they're not held responsible. They could be having a bad day and, shoot maybe some random guy that maybe their girlfriend cheated on them with, be waiting for him to pull out from his house and then pull him over and shoot him. They know damn well that no matter what they do, like they can even throw a gun in his car or a knife in his hand, and they know damn well that the qualified immunity doctrine is going to cover them. They know it. So the only thing good coming out of this particular trial that's going on right now is setting a precedent. If it sets a precedent, then that is, where it'll change things. Because that's the problem. See, as long as there is no precedent that, as long as there's no case for the attorneys to refer to, and say, oh, in this case, blah blah blah, this happened, then there's no precedent set, and so the what is it, the federal court or whatever, the higher court, okay, Supreme, whatever court is the one that it gets to at the top when they say, okay, maybe he's charged with it, right? Then maybe he's even, found guilty. And then it goes, he makes an appeal. Then it goes to the higher court. And if they overturn it, then no precedents will be set. And that's what they keep doing. And every state has its own constitution. And I don't know if everybody knows that, but each state has its own constitution. So we all think, oh, our constitutional rights, our constitutional rights. No. Mm-mm. I mean, our constitutional civil rights are being violated every single day right now. Every single day. It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, I don't even really know. Could somebody tell me what toilet paper had to do with the COVID virus? Why the hell would there be a shortage on toilet paper? Because there's a COVID thing going on. I could see me the hand sanitizer and shit like that. Toilet paper? That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. So, how's everybody doing anyway tonight? Maybe I might be done ranting about Tony Timpa, but I'm probably going to mention him every single day. I'm going to say his name, say his name, say his name. Tony Timpa, Tony Timpa, Tony Timpa. Because I'm telling you, that guy gets charged with that, and found guilty. Then they are going to need, and that's the thing. What are they going to do? Say, are you going to do your nails tomorrow, Lemon? You're funny. You are funny. I'm going to drop the link to if anybody wants to come on the panel. Lemon, you used to go on somebody else's panel quite a bit, but you will not come on mine. So I really hope you're the real Lemon, because you used to love going on panels. I believe you are, because, you're very smart. But I mean, I like having people up on the panel. That way I'm not the only one talking all the time. You will? Aw, that's awesome. I love that. I have an interesting story while he's getting ready to get on this panel. My sister, I was talking to my sister, and she said to me, she goes, remember when you were like 2 or 3? Which I didn't even know I was in England at 2 or 3. There we go. Yay. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, yep, it's you. I recognize that voice. How you doing?
Not too bad.
No?
What about you?
I'm alright. I'm alright. I got surgery next week, but, everything other than that is okay. I mean, I feel good. What are
Are
you going to do for
you?
Easter?
When is Easter? I don't even keep up with
Tomorrow.
holidays.
I don't really do
Tomorrow? Probably nothing.
Yeah, I know, right?
Probably just
Sleep.
eat something.
Does your mother cook? Like, do you have a big family?
Not a big family, but yeah, my mom and people cook and stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. I haven't talked to you in so long or heard your voice in so long. I was on a live stream one night, and there was a guy who sounded like you, and he was on the
Mhm.
screen, and he was real smart, and he was like annoying the host because he was so much smarter than him, and I was like, I wonder if that's Lemon.
Could have been a doppelganger.
Yeah, right. So what do you think about this? Did you watch the video, the Tony Timpa?
Yeah, I was actually checking a few out while you were talking about it. And yeah, I saw the one where they were laughing at him.
Horrible, right?
I've already seen videos of cops doing stuff like that, so definitely not too surprising, but yeah,
It just
definitely.
bothers me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
If you're not like super exposed to that kind of stuff, it can definitely bother you. I've scoured the internet in like the darkest places, so I've seen all sorts of stuff that I have to like. I had to learn how to kind of shut my feelings off from, or else that stuff gets to you.
right. It came up when I was doing like the officer involved stuff, and that's when I saw that, and I started to see how many, and I know that people will probably, like people of color would probably disagree, right? But I'm telling you, it is very rare for a white family to get a civil death suit, even a wrongful death suit. Very rare do they end up winning that. Where others, they just, and like XX said, sometimes I often wonder, why don't we go out and, when something happens like that, why do we have a different mindset?
Well, first off, I wanted to say something about that one thing about the white families not getting anything or not as much whatever restitution. I think one contributing factor to that is like first off, I think like the whole court justice system is like it's first off, of course, it's unfair and uneven in a lot of ways, but like I'm talking in the way of like one lawyer to another is not going to give you the same type of defense, right? So if you pay more for one lawyer than another, of course, you're automatically going to get a better defense, one, and then two, the black people situation. I'm sure there are a lot of lawyers around and some that are pretty good that are trying to make money off of that. So they probably have a lot of whatever the whatever the term is, kind of like defense, but there's another term for it. And I guess white families, that's like not as much of a money making fucking situation. So there aren't as many lawyers that are winning those types of cases.
It seems like, I think, when you were talking about the money and paying for it, I think they get a percentage out of the actual payment that they win,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So I would think, yeah, like maybe what you're saying is, what's their defense gonna be? Instead, if they're white, they're gonna go, oh, it's police brutality. But if they're black, they could say, oh, it's racist, like racial.
Yeah, there's the whole current situation of the hyper politicization of the black people and stuff. So of course that brings a lot more attention, and then of course that's gonna bring in a lot more money all around. And
Now I don't know how old
how
you are.
weird
Do
this
you
world
remember the
is.
LA riot?
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking of is back in the day when the civil rights stuff was going on back then and trying to compare the situation then and now. But
Well,
go
the
ahead with your
LA
point.
riots was about Rodney King. You
Yeah,
know who that is, right?
yeah.
And I mean, so what was all that for? You know what I'm saying? I,
It's a big thing because you have to like get into the whole political climate because it's all interrelated. You know what I'm saying?
did you watch any videos about those LA riots?
I haven't, but I'm sure it's not too different from what I have seen. But go ahead and go into whatever you want to go into. I'm sure I can keep up.
They were pulling people from their cars
I have
and
seen some of that
yeah,
footage.
yeah, and beating them. One was like a truck driver,
Hmm.
and they pulled him. I think his name was Denny something, I mean, they pulled him out of his car and they were kicking him and, beating him. And I just, and Rodney King is dead now. Like he actually, was a drunk driver and actually like killed himself that way, you know? I mean, so that was the whole thing. Like he was drunk and they wanted to pull him over. And, I always think to myself, like, I get it. Okay, you're drunk and you're getting pulled over by the cops. You might want to, drive away, but pull over, you know?
Mhm.
Or when you see them, like, and they won't follow anybody. I'm just saying any color, anybody at all. Basically, if the cop says, hand me your license, give them your license, or, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing is like, I'm actually somebody who doesn't believe in like, policing and any of that stuff, and like we can get into that some other time. But as far as how the current situation is, yeah, you have to follow the rules. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna expect not following them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one that stole he was like asleep in the drive-through of Wendy's or something. And then he,
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, I remember that one.
yeah, was that Derek Chauvin or something? Oh, no, no, that's the guy that's on trial now. No,
Yeah,
God,
that's
I
the guy
can't
that's
remember
on
the other one.
trial.
Yeah, and so he steals the cop's taser and runs away,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. What if,
genius.
and was like aiming, looking over his shoulder, like trying to tase the cop. I mean, yeah, I suppose maybe the cop could have, shot him in the leg or the knee, but maybe he was just a bad shot, you know? But still, I don't think it's what you're supposed to do to just let the guy, oh, okay, then you just go. You know,
I don't think people or not people. I don't think police should shoot people for running because, like, with how much resources they have, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that hard to locate somebody, even if they managed to run off. But, yeah, I hear you.
yeah, but that means, that cop's got to go back and say, oh, he got my taser from me. So now he's got a weapon on him, the guy. Just like, if somebody gets your gun, like a, person gets your gun if you're a cop, that's, or your badge or anything. Hi, everything included. Oh, hello, everything included says, hello, Tracy in chat. How about Anthony Hill in Georgia, the veteran who got shot because he was having a psychotic episode and he was naked in the parking lot and the police shot him? That's, I mean, that's absolutely unarmed, right? And that's the thing. I did two stories where one was um what they both were naked, right? One was white, one was black, and the black cop shot the black kid
That's
that
when
was
you know
naked.
everything is going good in their head when they're naked.
Well, one was okay, so that's a good point. Hello, would this be as big if the cop was black, race, cells? Oh, you mean like if the cop that killed George Floyd was black? That would be such an interesting if you could like say it was a Twilight Zone or whatever, episode where you flip it around, you flip this, and the cop's black. Would they have done all this? It would be such an interesting thing. Like if we could just, rewind time and the cop's black and see what would have happened. That would be really interesting. But that's funny what you just said. That's when you know everything's going right in their head when they're when they're naked. The black kid, he was out in the middle of the street, naked, and it was daytime. He was just and he ran by the cop car, and the black cop shot him as he ran by. And so obviously, there was no protest or anything then, because But the next one was a white woman who was in her bed, asleep, naked. And the cops came in and were saying, Where's your gun? Where's your gun? And she's like, she was sound asleep in her bed, and her boyfriend had called, like, bitter, whatever. And so finally, they let her get her shirt to get her gun, and to hand it to him, like in her drawer, it was she had the license for and all that. And just as it was like they were tricking her, just get it in her hand, and they shot her. And there was no justice for that or anything. Just so you know, everybody naked isn't that gets shot isn't crazy. Sometimes you're sleeping. But hey, when you're naked, you can't be more apparent that you're not armed to a police officer. And that is true. I mean, why can't they just pepper spray them? Right? You there? Lemon?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, wait, you're reading the chat.
N-
Just to
Um,
say
my
that.
mic was muted.
Oh, sorry. Oh, hey, Minnie, how are you? So very much love and positivity. Smash that like button.
But yeah,
And Ellie,
no, the whole cop training thing to me is like some creepy stuff, if anything. Like how they're just trained to like escalate the situation. I'm like, that's just creepy. Like
it is.
there's no level of normal to how police act, honestly. So
And
like
that's the qualified immunity doctrine. That's why, because they know they're not going to get in trouble. Did you ever read the qualified immunity doctrine?
I agree that that would be a contributing factor, but then there's a whole culture like around everything. So I think that there should be a culture of like everybody's a human, everybody goes through issues. Some people get even shittier hands dealt to them, so then they have uh, mental issues and things to deal with. So cops should know all of that. Instead, it seems like they function in the complete opposite way. It's like we are some fucking force you will obey or be assimilated. It's like, what the fuck kind of shit are we dealing with on both sides? Because we have the whole
Lemon,
mental health
Lemon, I hate to interrupt you.
crisis.
Listen, Lemon,
Go
I
ahead.
need to go out of the chat and come back in so I can hear, because we know when somebody tries to call you when you're on StreamYard, and it
Yeah,
makes your,
it messes stuff up.
yeah, it messes up the volume. So will you
Mhm.
you're just going to stay on the panel, and so that people don't think, I'm going to call out, come
Yeah,
right back
yeah,
in.
no
I'm not
problem.
ending it.
No problem.
Okay. All right. So give me one sec. Okay. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
good.
you're
Okay,
back.
good. Yeah, I hate that when, like, somebody, calls, because I don't know, like, how do you shut your phone off so that that doesn't happen? You know what I mean?
I don't know if there is a way or if it's just some glitch or like thing that happens,
Yeah, it sucks. I'm like,
but
damn.
there's lots of little things like that that happen on technology, so you have to find ways to get around it or just, deal with it.
Now I have to ask you, like you were saying, okay, you were talking about the culture. I'm so
I'll be
sorry.
back 1 second.
It says somebody has bow weapons they should use. other means than to shoot someone. Well, not exactly, Tracy. Every cop has a bond that civilly you can go after if you have the footing in court to prove. Yeah, living case. Oh, CVX is here? Hello, CVX. Lemon, are you still here? Or did he say he had to go for a second? I think he said he'll be back in a second. Okay, just to state facts, Anthony Hill was 6 foot black, and the cop on the scene was there by himself, and he was, well, I
All
mean,
right, I'm back. Sorry, I got a phone call.
okay, yeah, see those phone calls, right?
Yeah.
CBX said, now see, okay, so you were talking about the police training, and I also heard about police training being not up to par, you know? Oh, she said, yeah, CVX said your guest is incorrect about police training, but
Yeah,
I don't,
I heard that apparently they think the police training is very up to standard. From
and
the
I don't think it is.
from the yeah, not only from what I've heard do I not agree, but from what I've seen in video, I definitely wouldn't agree.
And when
So,
I was doing those, the research on the, on the officer involved shooting, and like I said, they were totally biased. Um, that a lot of times the excuse that they will use is when they say, like they'll say, okay, well, couldn't he have used a different, way to diffuse the situation? They'll
mhm.
say, no, they're not trained that way, like they
Yeah,
weren't trained
I've
for that.
heard that. I've heard that.
Yep, they weren't trained that for that. They're allowed to use excessive force even if they do not feel in immediate danger. And that was the one on that woman that was naked lying in bed.
Hmm.
Yep,
Yeah, no, I've
yeah,
seen dozens of situations where, like, in the situation, like, sure, the person isn't following orders, but, like, you can maneuver around people so many more ways other than literally just, like, forcing yourself onto them in, like, the most violent way, which is what police do. And that's why I don't agree with the thing because it's like it gives them the power to impose violence when we don't get that. Da, da, da. But then the only reason they have that power is because of some magical uh, laws written in paper and ink. And that's
right.
supposed to make sense to somebody with a
And they use
logical
that. They
reason.
absolutely use that and say, they were not trained, they can use excessive force. That's like CVX said, that's just not true. And I just wanted to let her know that if she looks up Dan, which is DEANNE, and I don't know how to spell, I don't know how to say her last name, but it's spelled CHOACE. And it was in Kansas, and it said her boyfriend called, said she was drunk and suicidal and had a gun. The cops arrived and they handcuffed the boyfriend and put him in a cruiser, but to keep him safe, so called, right? Um, I don't know why they would have to handcuff him for that. They
Miss,
go
Miss,
inside and they find her naked and sound asleep in her bed, and her daughter was there, and you know can attest to this. And they repeated, kept saying, "Where is the gun? Where is the gun?" After waking her and looking at her, they obviously not she was obviously not concealing a weapon. So they finally gave her a shirt to wear, and then she showed them where she kept her gun, and they shot her. And they were ordered, and you can hear it in the recording. They were ordered to turn off all audio and visual. And it says the city said their procedure is to use deadly force regardless if there is an actual threat. That is the court documents confirm that the above officer was cleared. Kansas law. That's it. So that was it. That was what they said. They said they can use deadly force regardless if there is an actual threat. Now, I'm saying I don't know if state by state they're using different things, but if you want to look that woman up, then you can, because that was her case and that was the defense that they used. and they got away with that. So I'm just saying, I mean, you could be more familiar about police training. I get that. Okay, it's absolutely true. I'm gonna put her name right now, and then look her up and tell me what that they didn't use that as a defense. And don't, like, not on YouTube, Google and look at the court documents, because I read the whole court transcript. Because I was doing that for video. That's what I was making. So I'm gonna write her name right here, and then you can check it out, because that's what they said. And which sounds to me pretty crappy that they're letting these cops use force, deadly force, whether or not they're in danger. That doesn't even make sense, right? Still there, Lemon?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, like, that doesn't even make sense. That right there is like kind of pisses me off that they're letting them, get away with that kind of stuff. And remember, it's Kansas where that happened. So in case anybody wants to check up on that, that's true. Yeah, Leanne Jody. Please post that. That's not true. So I know where people who disagree with me are coming from. I'm just reading the thing. Personal biases and preconceived notions can shape how you perceive. I am into where does anyone get their info, various sources and experience. Their use of a dog. I really haven't much of that, but I did see one where they let the dog attack the guy for like 10 minutes. A big factor too is adrenaline rush. These police officers get after a car, foot chase, or just having to restrain physically a person. Adrenaline is as bad as any street drug, influencing your judgment. Yeah, but also is knowing that there's a qualifying immunity doctrine that, they can come out with a statement like that. They are allowed to use excessive force regardless if there is an actual threat. I mean, you could be having a bad day, and just decide, I'm having a bad day. Or like I said, run into some guy that might have, been around your woman at some point and wait for him to pull out of his driveway, pull him over, and, a lot
Yeah,
of police
no, I hear all that and agree with all of that. There's so many factors going on all at once. And then it's like issues like this are like just like swooped over. And then whenever they do zoom in on an issue to this level of analyses, it's only to politicize for the moment being until they move on the very next week into some completely different thing. It's like the most ridiculous thing ever. And then just by them doing that, the people who pay attention to that, it shapes your mind to view the world as
Yeah, and then
thinking that
nobody does
that's
anything
normal.
about it that could.
Yeah, and thinking that that's normal.
Yeah, it's not normal for them to be allowed to use excessive force, whether or not, whether or not there's a fight. That doesn't even make sense. That's like saying, okay, so they can just be killers.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
if you boil it down, yeah.
It says a lot. Everything includes says a lot of police officers are directly out of the war zone, which they could have PTSD. They could have power trip issues. Well, of course. I mean, I'm just, I mean, I have seen, and you know what? And when I was doing the videos, very biased about, the officer involved shootings that I was doing the research on, because there was sometimes where the cop got killed, or it could be somebody who went suicide by cop, which must be very trying on an officer. And at the end of the day, they always all just want to go home,
Hmm.
I get that. But when they can storm into a woman's bedroom and she's asleep, naked, you know, um, and with no gun, she's got to actually get up to get her gun that she's got a license for, and they kill her and turn off all their audio and visual, and it's right there. They're ordering the orders: turn off it, turn it off, turn it off, and the daughter's screaming in the background. I mean, that qualifying immunity doctrine is where it's all at. They got to get rid of it. You can't have that anymore. It's not a race thing. Police brutality is not a race thing. It's the fact that they know they're going to get away with it. So that's what I think. I mean, I'm just like you, wondering what's going to happen after this um, verdict on that court case. You know?
I don't mean like anything huge is gonna happen. I just mean the temporary, tiny little, backlash on any side that's gonna happen. And then things will just like, it'll just become a non-issue the week after.
Not if he's not found guilty, then I think there'll be like some uproar. I
Yeah,
think,
for a while, but I'm saying like it'll just be overshadowed by another thing. Because especially, one thing that I've noticed, I've seen like with some situations like that where yes, they are big every now and then. I've also seen when like there's one situation going on that's basically just as big as the George Floyd thing, but then it gets overshadowed by another thing, and because they're using all these pieces to manipulate people, they literally like sometimes have to choose, and then they choose to ignore one over another, and then they lose the ability to use it as effectively as they would to manipulate the people the way that they do.
well, the media definitely is playing a big role in everything that people are seeing, and you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Uh, CVX says, anyway, gotta go. Again, I am much more knowledgeable about the rigorous venting, hiring, training, and mindset. Well, I mean, if you can't like actually state why you would say that and your, logic behind that, then, if you're gonna just fly out of the room with nothing to back that up, CVX, I gotta wonder, uh, how much more knowledgeable. I would think you'd have a few statements to back that up, and you can't just say you are with no.
Oh, they can and they did, and
Yeah,
apparently
I
that's
know,
good enough.
right?
Apparently
Right?
that's good enough for them.
Yeah, apparently they know much more, but they're not going to tell us, right? They don't want to share their info. Um, then everything included said there's actually coming such a refinement where there's going to be a socialist psychiatrist with the police officer, not only for the police officer, but for dealing with the public in crisis. I don't know what that means.
Let me
Being
try
a
to
cop has to
interpret it.
be,
Let me
huh?
try to let me try to interpret it.
Okay,
Where
I
is
know
it?
you.
The social psychiatrist of the blue. Oh yeah, okay. What he's saying is that
She's a she, by the way.
yeah, sorry, she, and I didn't even mean the he. I should have just said they or them. They
She.
basically mean that there's gonna be somebody there with the cops to evaluate the situation, and I have heard of that. I think it's like the social worker type thing is what it's called. But apparently they're gonna start having, or they already have it somewhere, or here and there. And I have seen this one place where instead of cops being called on like mental
Oh,
health
you mean for like a
issues.
well-being check?
Yeah, 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 those.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. And they should, because I'll tell you what, there was two. I told them she said she. um, I actually, when I was talking about Oregon, that was two places where uh, that they had gotten a call for well-being check, and you know how usually it'll take a little while for the cops to show up, but they were there real fast, and as soon as the guy opened the door to them, they shot them. They showed up in with those big Bearcat. Is that what it is? Those big, armored vehicles with the turret on it and a sniper out of the turret yelling out of a, intercom or whatever, to come out, come out. I can't see how that wouldn't make somebody who, like he did 3 or 4 tours. His name was Brian Babb, and he did 3 or 4 tours in Afghanistan. And when he called his psychiatrist, or whatever, his person, they, told him how he told them how he was feeling, and they called the cops, which they didn't even tell him that they did, and they were there within 7 minutes. And as soon as that guy opened his door, they shot him in the head. So I think, that's probably, yeah, probably a good idea to have a psychiatrist to evaluate a situation, just like the kid that was naked in the middle of the road.
I think they should have had that a long time ago. Like, we're in 2021. Are you serious?
I know, right? I'm
Yeah.
so like in my mind thinking like how somebody came in telling us we were wrong, but wouldn't tell us why.
Oh, I mean, there's people, there's all sorts of characters on YouTube.
Right? I mean, I know who that like was. Like I've seen it before, but it's like, okay, so tell us what share your info.
Well, in my, or if I were to guess, they're obviously a very pro police kind of person, to put
Right,
it lightly.
right, yeah. And people, when I would say, repeal the qualifying immunity doctrine, you could always tell, like, if there was someone, you know, who was very police minded or had police in their family. And I'm not against the police. Don't get me wrong. I am kind of like thinking though, why when they took over that city, where was it? Seattle? I mean, when they took over the city, BLM.
You're talking about the autonomous zone?
Yes,
Yeah, what about it?
the police left.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that is disturbing to me because that
It
means
shouldn't be. One, it wasn't nearly as violent as, like, they would portray, oh my God, lawlessness, oh my God. Two, I'm going to teach you, if you don't already know, in the time that you get to know me, that anarchy is not actually like complete lawlessness where everybody's like killing each other. It just means that there are no rulers. And in that situation, what happens isn't that there just aren't no rulers and then there's just complete chaos. It's that you rule yourself and you kind of watch out for people, to where everybody has each other's backs and that kind of stuff.
yeah, but think about it. The businesses that they were destroying, like it could
Yeah,
have
that's
been
the
somebody's
problem,
life.
is like it happened within that larger framework of like happening in a city where there's already things going on, in which case, yeah, it does look bad, and yeah, I agree with you that it's not what they should have done or anything, and it was just complete political nonsense on both
Yeah,
sides,
that could
and
be
that's what's
somebody's like
happening.
whole life, their business that they worked their whole life to,
Yeah, I
and
don't agree. I don't agree that people's businesses should be burned and stuff.
right.
I have heard some arguments that, like, I don't know what it involved. It was basically like, or how I would like summarize it, but basically it's like saying that to have a business like that, you're kind of agreeing to the social structure that's happening around you. And so if your business then gets destroyed because of something like this that's going on like a larger political arena that you just happen to be caught within, I've seen the left justify it as, I'm not going to try to like come up with words for it, but they justify it as just like it's not violence against people, so it's okay for one reason or another.
But I
But
feel like,
I
some of those
do agree with
companies,
you. I do agree
like
with
that was like a neighborhood police station, right?
you. Yeah, I saw them burn down the police station.
Yeah, and I feel like that was, atrocious. Like that is complete lawlessness. And, those people, like the police, they do put their lives on the line. Some of them, they go into it with the right, they want to do right. They want to, make a difference. And to blame every police officer is like to blame every, say, say blame every guy for rape. You can't blame all of them. And
Th- Think of it like this. Think of all the angles in which, of all the things that are happening in society that we're already aware of. Imagine how many ways it could be manipulated if somebody wanted to be malicious and manipulate people against each other and to have the kinds of things that we see happening in these cases and then become politicized the way that they do. Because that's
the
what goes
media
on.
has so
That's
much
what
to
goes
do with
on.
all that
And you
too.
know it's crazy? The media makes money off of the attention that they get for making a giant thing out of it. That's how like
I think it's
straightforward it
awful.
is.
Like, I didn't even know about the guy who drove into the officer at the Capitol, the Capitol building, like 2 days ago or a day
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they're
didn't
not even
even know.
covering it. Yeah, they're not even covering it.
Yeah, they're not even covering it.
And that's exactly
And
the
I
kinds
went
of
into the comments on, the video for it, and somebody was like, I don't have any condolences for his family. And they had like the laughing emoji.
yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen all the people in the comments that are just so
Cruel.
yeah, on both sides, in all the situations that have happened. And it's just like, y'all are like, can't you see past what's happening? But
And
most
have
of them, and then
compassion. Yeah.
here's what's even worse. Here's how bad things are. Some people even pay trolls to sow discord amongst the comment section. That's how much evil is going on around.
There is a lot of evil going on in the entire, as an entirety. It's a bad thing. And I just want to answer Lee. Lee, I don't know what the crime rate is in my town, but I don't think it's a big, like it's not a, we don't have a huge crime problem. I don't think, I don't see it if we do. Like, I don't feel scared to walk down the street or anything. But I
Crime's a
couldn't
weird
believe it.
thing.
And the guy said, "What do you mean by what?" Because he answered back. Because I said, "What? What do you mean by that?" And then he commented back, "What do you mean by that?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just wondering what is behind your feelings that you would say, LOL, laughing emoji, and no condolences. Like, what's behind that?" And he was like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" I mean, how much clearer could I put it? You know?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
people are like extra obtuse nowadays.
Yeah, like they just want to walk away and they want to say their thing and then just, and leave. And I feel like, okay, it was a simple question, I want to hear why. Like, I didn't want to argue with him. I just wanted to hear what he had to say. What was behind that, you know? And, he made it just a whole big difficult thing. So they just go around spouting their shit. And what I'm saying is now that all those people in that town, I think it was called something Chop something. Remember they changed the name to Chop. Keep going. Thinking in my head, Chip Chop, but it's not. It was Chop. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, the autonomous zone was called Chop and Chaz.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. And in the what city was it actually though?
I don't. Didn't you say it was Seattle?
I thought it was Seattle, but I don't think it.
Was it
If it was,
Portland?
you're right.
Yeah.
You are right. It was Portland. Yep, you're absolutely right. And that's Oregon. And that, do you know there's only like a 4% rate of black people there? So,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
super whitey
yeah,
town.
yep, super whitey. But they also have a lot of police brutality because that was where the well being check thing came into play. And they have a problem with these police. They they are messed. They are so screwed up there. I mean, whether it's black or white, the police there are messed up. And they definitely need to be trained in another way to diffuse the situation and not covered by excuses like, oh, well, we allow them to use excessive force, whether or not they feel threatened.
But yeah, 2003 said it good right there where he said they're not covering it because it doesn't fit the narrative. Yeah, that narrative that versus reality, it's like you could make 300 narratives better than the ones that they have, but it's their narrative and they're the corporate media and they have all the funding and they're part of the, you know, the system that's playing all of us against each other. So of course,
It almost feels like there's no way to rectify it.
it's gonna have to. It's I don't know where how it's gonna happen, but it's gonna have to be like everybody's gonna have to figure it out. You know,
I
like
think
me
we
and
should
you are
have to
talking
get
about it right
together,
now. This is gonna
be
have to become
united.
like this is gonna have to become like mainstream knowledge.
I feel like we have to be united, you know?
Yeah, that too. That too.
Yeah, because if we don't unite, then if, like cops are going to just, leave their zone, like they did at that, chip chop or whatever, Chaz chop, right?
Uh, Everything
But,
included is talking about the social credit score that they have in places like Japan and China.
okay, let's see, a system as far as you being a good citizen, like criminal record, mental illness, etc.
I don't need the government to base
Yeah, I
that
don't
for
want
me.
that. Yeah, I
So
wouldn't
there's
want
a lot of
that.
issues with that. But what do you think about it? Everything
I don't
included.
want like that. That's just
Yeah,
a way
what do you think about that? Everything included.
in Japan with the citizens that phone dying. Be well. Everyone, interesting talk. If I don't get in time, happy Easter. Thank you, Lee. We appreciate that. It is an interesting talk. Happy Easter to you as well, Lee. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. Are you being a good citizen, like criminal record, mental illness, etc.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no.
that kind of says
In
mental illness.
theory, it sounds,
I
good.
don't think so. It makes me wonder what they mean by, like mental illness. Does that mean you're not a good
How
citizen?
about in just like the most like innocent sense? It sounds good, you know.
Yeah, but that's like,
But yeah, that's what I'm getting into. Is that that's just not what reality involves. Things aren't innocent.
yeah, especially like if they're using mental illness in their, way of,
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
Same with the COVID thing. Look how easily they're able to manipulate the definitions to have whatever they want happen.
I can't even tell you how annoying this whole COVID thing is becoming. Like, it is so. I can't, like when I read like
You
the
know what's
statistics.
coming to me right now. This is coming to me from a higher source. I know you like that kind of stuff, so I gotta tell it to you. What it's telling me to tell you is that look at the bright side of how much knowledge and how much experience you've gained from it.
From COVID.
From the whole situation of having to deal with the people, having to deal with the situation, having to reason, having to research what's going on, that whole thing changes us.
It does change us, but it's not looking like a brighter future.
In the way that you're talking about in the most negative aspect, but I'm talking about the spiritual stuff that's completely separate from the current physical situation of like, oh my god, the world's ending, oh my god, big tech is going to take us over and they're going to have a medical uh tyranny over the whole world. Like, yes, that part is horrible, but we're that's not the whole picture. You know what I'm if you know what I'm trying to say.
I do. Like, in a way, I know because, like, I keep saying to myself, with the COVID thing and the quarantine and stuff, me having cancer at the same time, it's almost like a blessing, kind of, like everybody's not doing everything and I've got to be, like,
Yes.
so it's, for me, came at the same time as something where everybody is sitting inside and I'm sitting inside because I, don't want to go out. I mean, I'm bald and shit, I'm not the same me, but, but it happened at a time when people couldn't even get a haircut. Well, guess what? I don't need one. You know?
Exactly. Look at the bright side.
Yeah,
That's
that
exactly
so
what
I
I'm talking
understand
about.
that.
That
Okay.
too, of like this, the coincidences of something like that happening at the same time as this other situation. Those kinds of things. When you see those, you can kind of see the silver lining. Silver lining.
Yeah, you have to do that sometimes,
Hmm.
just to get through life in a way. You got to make the best of things.
Definitely.
But what kills me is like, I get that what you're saying, but like in that, do you mean when you say the knowledge we're gaining and this and stuff? Do you mean that in the afterlife we'll have this knowledge and but I wouldn't want to know how horrible.
I actually mean it on multiple levels. One, yes, we do take some of this with us after life, but I actually mean where humanity is right now, currently in the political thing where it's like the tyranny is becoming more and more and more. But I've been in this thing since like before 2012, and I don't know if you are familiar with the circle, but I'm from the part of YouTube where like it's kind of like the cross between the new age stuff and the truther kind of like stuff from like Alex Jones to like David Icke conspiracy kind of stuff. Like that's where I come from. So I've been in this for like a decade now, and I'm seeing the whole political sphere and the kinds of topics that are being brought up. And I am seeing people get further enlightened and further, they're coming into their power. Like there was the part where they had to learn what was going on, but now we're starting to get into that place where now we're going to have to step into action about what we know is going on. So that's going to get really exciting
Yeah, but
if
if we
I'm
don't,
right.
that's, I guess, exciting if you like violence, because that's where I think it's going. Because I feel like,
There is
unless,
violence is necessary sometimes, but I don't mean exciting because it's going to be violent. I mean more the fight for like the future.
now what's the Mandela effect? Because XX said like the Mandela effect will start.
Mandela effect is apparently it's like time being switched around, timeline. So like things that were one thing in the past are another thing now, and I don't fully agree with that thing, but I do understand like where the people are coming from. I think it could be explained with something as easy as like a false memory, and that it's more likely people just remembering things wrongly. But the Mandela thing is funny because even I have a thing where I could have swore that I heard about Mandela dying somewhere, somehow. So that's what it's in reference to is that
What does that mean, though? What is the Mandela effect? Like, what is that?
the
What's the
reason why it's
concept?
actually called the Mandela effect is because Mandela, like, people thought that he died, but apparently he didn't die. And then somebody came up with the name, the Mandela effect, of like time not being the same as what it was. And some other examples of the Mandela effect that I've seen people do are like things being misspelled. For example, the Berenstain Bears. It's spelled one way and then it's spelled another actually, and stuff like that. There's like another cereal that was spelled one way and then another, and then a few other political ones that I've seen people uh, connect or make the dots. And half of them I've seen are like, okay, maybe that's kind of weird. And half of them I've seen, I don't remember that one really. So you could just be, imagining things. But I like to entertain all fucking theories and
Oh,
ideas.
okay.
So
So
I have looked
Nelson
at.
Mandela,
Yeah,
right?
Nelson Mandela.
Now I feel like I know, like the name and stuff, and I just feel like I don't even know much about him.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean. Like some people react one way to one thing and some another.
Yeah.
So with the math on that, it's like I don't know,
I think that's
inconclusive.
why I'm going to look that up though later, the Mandela effect, because like I feel like that's something I've never really even, I've heard of Nelson Mandela, but I just, and I feel like I know about what you're talking about though, thinking somebody died, but then they didn't, because I feel like I see that a lot with actors.
That's what's known as like I think it's false memory. I think so.
I feel
Yeah,
like I've like seen actors and I'll think that, oh, I swear to God, I saw a news report that they died, but there they are alive, and then I'm like thinking, like, maybe Hollywood is like CGIing these people, I'm like,
I've seen the CGI theories, and I've had the same experience too of like, huh, really? I thought they died, or wow, they're still alive.
yeah, I'm telling you, like Jerry Lewis, I was certain I saw that he had died. And then next thing you
Mhm.
know, he was on something. I'm like, I was sure that he died. And then I'll Google it and be, like, wait a minute, there's no stories about him dying. You know what I mean? I was
Mhm.
certain I saw, like, on the cover of something that he died. And I just can't, and people think you're crazy. Everything included said a government is going to let chaos reign in order to take control back, especially in the USA. You can't just go against the Constitution and say, now we're going to put restrictions on everybody. It, the thing is, though, is if we're not united, we're just going to be fighting each other, you know? And the Constitution is different in every state. And then conspiracy theorists believe this is proof of an alternate universe, while many doctors use it as an illustration of how imperfect the memory is. That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, she was talking about in regards to the Mandela effect, which, yeah, I agree with that statement.
Yeah, I do too. Proof of an alternate universe, while many doctors use it as an illustration of how imperfect the memory is. That's pretty good. And then everything said, well, the Buddhists have what is called is the rainbow effect, where they believe there are many different dimensions where people live and other worlds can be.
I guess she was comparing that to the Mandela effect,
Right. So,
which,
do you believe in an
which
alternate universe?
I believe in a lot of things, but believe doesn't even come close to touching on it.
Right. And believing doesn't mean that it's true, right?
Well, believing in it is just believing. What if I know? But yeah, yeah, true, exactly.
Right. Like, even like, sometimes I'll talk about Bigfoot and stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure I believe in Bigfoot, you know,
Mhm. Yeah,
but I've seen a couple of things that, are make sense and everything. And let me just tell you this little story I was before I was going to tell you. My sister, I was talking to my sister, and she said, "Do you remember when you were 2 or 3 years old?" Which, of course, I didn't remember, but I do remember, a similar incident. But she said, and we were in England, and you said that. Now I was 2 or 3 years old, so there's no way I would know who Stalin was. Okay, yeah, and that I was talking about Stalin, and I was talking about Russia, and I was telling them like detailed story, like memories of,
damn,
being there, like as a Jewish person in Russia and Stalin and everything. And they didn't, they
really?
had to look it up. Isn't that weird?
I've seen other cases of like reincarnation where like some kid has memories of stuff like that, and other situations like like child prodigies and stuff. So yeah, that's weird that you personally fucking had that. That's
Yeah, my
definitely
sister, she
crazy.
just came out with that. I was on the phone and she goes, do you remember when, she goes, and you told us so many detailed stories of like Jewish people in a village and Stalin and all kinds of stuff.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that was just, I wish she would have like remembered more, like about the details and everything, but so I could like look and see if, things like that. But she said, there's no way I would have known. I was only at top 3 years
Yeah,
old.
that's weird enough as it is.
Yeah, right? That's crazy. And I remember, but I do remember being like at the, like a laundromat with my mother, and
Mhm.
she was putting the clothes in the dryers, it's like, 2 or 3. And this was over here. So I think maybe that happened before we went to England because I think I must have carried this thing around with me. But this is when I do remember telling her that.
Marker 59 says Happy Easter.
Oh, thank you, Marker. I appreciate that. Happy Easter to you as well. But she was putting the clothes in the dryer, and they looked like they were like big metal front loaders, and I think they looked maybe from my mother's thing. She said they looked maybe like what they would incinerate the bodies in. And I was
Hmm.
like screaming and crying. I'm pulling the clothes out of the dryer. I'm going, no, you'll kill him, you'll kill him. And she said, so she took the clothes out, and way in the back there was a little yarmulke, like a child's yarmulke. It
Hmm.
wasn't ours. Yeah. So then I started like at night I would put it over my face and I would talk, and my mother was like, "Who are you talking to?" And that was the first time I remember her telling me about that. I said Stalin, and she was like, she had to look it up. And so I thought it was just really neat that my sister, who I didn't bring it up to her, I didn't say a word to her, she brought it up. And I never knew that it went even on further than what I recollected. I thought that was kind of cool. I think it's weird that how little kids are the ones who really, I do believe in past lives. Yeah.
It's funny. My mom mentioned that I don't know couple months ago. She mentioned something that I had mentioned not too recently, or somewhat recently, and then she was talking about how I had said something when I was like really little that was like the same thing, and then I was telling her about how like little kids know about that magic shit from the fucking get go. Because I have
Yes.
like a nephew and I'm trying to get him as like initiated into as much things as I can while he's still young.
But it's like they forget those memories as they get
Oh yeah,
older.
they
This
do.
past life.
Most people do because life changes them for the worse.
Yeah, I know, right? But maybe not, because you were saying that it changes us for the better, like spiritually.
Yes, yes. That's
Like
what's
it's
crazy
all in
is
how you
that
look
it's
at
like
it.
there's like layers to it. So on one level it's negative, on another it's positive.
Yeah, it's all in how you look at it. Because I keep, trying to look at like, you know, even when I'm going through, as like, okay, so this must be something of a learning experience, kind of.
Not only that, but where do you even think that notion could be coming from?
That what?
That
Notion
notion or idea could be coming from
of trying to make a better thing or making
of
it come. I'm talking about the cancer, right?
the spiritual aspect of getting something out of it positive.
I think it's from like a lot of analyzing and
I
like
was more trying to get to like, yes, that definitely it does come from that. Like once you analyze long enough, it starts popping out.
yeah,
But
like
what
having to
from
do it. Like you have to do it. You have to be.
exactly. But what I'm trying to say is like what I've seen from my analyzing, because I've gone really deep into it, is that thing that we're even able to analyze is actually like intelligent. like like things like love and stuff, they're not just imaginary, they're real, but they can't be defined
So
within
you think that there's a
material.
bigger picture, right? You think that
That,
there's not,
yes,
it's not
exactly,
on.
exactly.
So do you believe in God?
Yes, of course.
I think that there's something, yeah. Like I like to
But
think,
believe, and then definition. So like the God gets like, is it the Christian God? Is it the Jewish God? Is it the Islam God, or is it the Buddhist God? Maybe it's the Mexican tribe from 1650. Is it their God? You know what I mean? And
I
from the
think
math
God
that
is an
I've done, it's like
abbreviation.
it's God. It's just like it's beyond all definitions.
I think God is an abbreviation of greatest of the deities.
I've seen different abbreviations for it.
Like in, greatest of the deities. Remember they had all the gods, so they were deities, or deity. What do they call? Is it deities?
Yeah, it's deity. You got it.
Yeah. And I feel like it's like, you know, an abbreviation of that. I mean, they were tapping into, um, you know, like they didn't have writing. They were writing it on stone, and they're like, I am so tired of writing greatest of the deities. I'm just gonna write
What's
God.
that? What's that from? I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Deity.
Greatest of the deities.
I thought of it.
Oh, so like this whole story you just thought up. That's great. I like that.
Yeah, great. That was. Because like
I thought it was a reference to some like like movie or something where that was a scene or a thing in it. But if you just
yeah,
came up with that, you got a great imagination.
yeah. I mean, because like I said, I like you. Um, I just want to read everything included. So I know you're reading them too, right? You're reading the comments. Look at the saint that went to the apocalyptic cave to write the book of Revelation in the Bible. And many say Revelations is happening now. I don't want it to happen now. You know? I feel like I got a lot of living to do. Where maybe before I didn't feel like that, but maybe that's another thing of the cancer. No, deity, doesn't it mean like, no, no, no. Deities is the like Poseidon, those guys, that's what that is, right?
They're getting kind of like anal about the word, which like in the way that you're using it, definitely, but the way that they're trying to get very specific about it,
Yeah,
they're just being
yeah,
very
that's not what I
specific,
meant.
which I don't disagree with what they're saying, but you're just speaking in general terms.
I think that there's many deities that there's like the god of nature. You know what I mean? Like through like Roman and Greek, the mythology, they're gods and everything.
This is
And
definitely
they,
stuff that I'd like to talk to you about, but it requires a lot of unpacking. So we're gonna have to go slow, and I definitely don't want to do it all right now.
well, those monoliths that you were telling, that you
Yeah,
were talking
exactly.
about.
That's the thing. The monoliths and the obelisks. The
Yeah, and that
obelisks.
is in the Bible, in
Oh
Jeremiah.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy. Is how much stuff is actually referenced in the Bible.
Yeah, and it
When
was exactly where they said in the Bible where it is. No, I'm not talking about Atlantis. Because now you're talking about Atlantis, which
yeah,
everyone.
when did she get into Atlantis?
I know, I'm not talking about Atlantis. I'm talking about,
I'm the
like
one
they
who
would.
talks about Atlantis. Leave that for me. Leave that for me.
I've never talked about Atlantis. That's
Yeah, I was
very
gonna
interesting.
say, what does Tracy know about Atlantis? I want to
You're
know.
right. I don't know much about Atlantis, although it is very interesting. If you know a lot about Atlantis, you
Oh, I'm
can go.
sure anybody who's even heard like the name or like what it means or what it ties to, I'm sure anybody would be interested.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. See, it says the first set of twins was Atlas, and
Oh,
it
okay. She was talking about the Greek gods and then comparing that to Poseidon and Atlantis. Yes, but I don't think she was going into
yeah,
that
I
part.
wasn't thinking that way.
She was more
Yeah,
thinking like Greek gods and them having multiple gods and stuff.
Yeah, not statues or anything, but I was thinking like more like the, the one that they would even, think they were the greatest one, But
Hmm.
Atlantis also was a spaceship, and there's no way that you can have those types of superhumans not be aliens or angels. Everything. See, I got a lot of good people in here, huh? Don't I, Lemon?
Definitely a lot of unique people.
Yeah, smart though, right? Like, they're talking about. Remember, you said earlier you thought that
Inquisitive,
people.
inquisitive, and very alternative ideas that most people are very whatever to.
Yeah, you like, like you thought people would roll their eyes about it, but I think people are, well, because I started off doing, saying, Bigfoot, cryptids and stuff. So I think they knew that I was planning on going down rabbit holes, you know? And so that's why I felt like, no, they weren't going to roll their eyes at you because so much about things that I enjoyed listening to you. So if you know
There,
stuff about Atlantis and you could teach me, go right ahead and because that's very interesting to me. 'Cause I never think about Atlantis. I, it's just like another rabbit hole for me.
mhm.
But is that something that you study a lot of?
You know when words like fail you because there's like so much to say, but you don't you're not going to talk for like 30 hours to say it all, and you couldn't possibly talk that long. Um, I'm getting a little bit of that right now. In like, if I wish I could tell you all of it right now,
Right.
but there's so much that we're gonna have to talk about it for a long time before you can even get close to all of the ideas that I entertain because I go really into it. But yes, things like Atlantis are my favorite kind of topics.
So are you more into like the UFO side of like so? Because she said something about it being a UFO. Is that true?
They mentioned that it was a spaceship or something. I'm not going to say that they're right or wrong. My studies have not focused on that, but I don't want to make any conclusions or conclusive statements right now. But
Because I thought it was like just like a city in the under, on the bottom of the ocean. You know what I mean? No, I'm
yeah,
not laughing at you.
what most people know about it is that it's like a
Deities are all
sunken
up.
continent, right?
She thought that I was laughing. So that I cannot hear you both. And thanks for laughing at me, by the way. But I'm not laughing at. We're not laughing at you.
Yeah, no, I'm not laughing at you at all. I'm more just trying to say that it's a very complicated topic that, like, when you come at it from one way or another, it's kind of hard to talk to other people who aren't informed about it in the same way that you are. So I wasn't trying to say anything other than that.
Yeah, underwater city. Yeah, because I just thought it was an underwater city, but when everything included had so much, more. When she brought that up, I never like thought of, like they brought me to a whole different. Even though we weren't talking about that Atlanta, I didn't connect
Mhm.
that, But then that brought a whole like going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, that's part of what I like about these topics is not only going down that rabbit hole, but where they take you in all the other things that they mention in the people who talk about these kinds of topics. Because like if you watch one video on like I don't know some new age thing or look at try to find a back in the day at least YouTube is a lot more watered down now and like censored and sterilized, but back in the day you could like try to go into one topic and study it, and like there would be people who they themselves are researchers just like you, and then they're studying who knows five six different things at once, so then they'll throw five six different theories in all at once. So back in the day there was like reptilians and Illuminati and Masons and all sorts of theories flying around all over the place that you had to make heads or
Right, and that's
tails of.
why I
And
want
those
to
people,
clarify to everything included that. I think he was more like laughing at me, like not laughing at me, like it was so. I think more like my, like I was baffled how it became. Like he understands what you're saying because he, when you said Atlantis, he was very, interested in that. But I'm saying I was totally baffled. Like I was like Atlantis, like so I think it was more like saying, yeah, I don't think she was because I wasn't like I.
I did never laughed. I was biting my tongue, if anything, but
Yeah,
I do
I
that all the time.
yeah, I think it was more like I'm totally off because, like I said, I just think it's like an underwater city. I
Yeah,
don't
that's what most people know about it as that, or like a sunken continent, right?
know an underwater city.
Oh, you don't even know it as a like a sunken continent, like
No, I don't know anything
or like a
like.
sunken island? Sunken island?
No,
No, just
no,
an underwater city. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
just an
yeah,
underwater city.
that's how this stuff goes, where like you hear one piece of it or another, and then like that's the picture you have of it.
That's why I was like, so
And then
you know,
the reason why they even brought up Atlantis was because you were bringing up the Greek god stuff, which
I'm sure they probably have statues that are in that city that are underwater. You know what I mean? That they consider gods or something.
oh yeah, there's all sorts of stuff we can get into. Takes
Like,
too much.
is it
Go
still
ahead.
there? And what ocean is it in?
There are some ruins that I found. There's this one in particular they're called the Yamagachi ruins. They're off the coast of Japan, and they have some monolithic, really big pillars and really weird cutout stones that are ginormous. And it definitely doesn't look like completely like 100% obvious it was a sunken city. It just looks like some really giant fucking structures that are sunken and underwater. And then if I wanted to go into my research, there's probably all sorts of coasts all over the place and sites all over the place that have sunken places that people theorize to be Atlantis. But from my research, Atlantis happened so long ago that any of the stuff that's left over is like
Gone.
really, really small stuff that's just left over from what was really there back in the day.
She said it. Well, if you really want to get into it, it was before the ice age melt, so it wasn't a sunken continent. It was the ocean levels rose because of melting icebergs. So only some of the coastline submerged. I feel like that could be like, how they're finding shark teeth in deserts and, sea, like whales in deserts and everything. It's kind of odd, like how, at one point there was all this water and then,
Oh yeah, you're talking about like fossils and shit.
yeah, they find them like in the desert, like there was more water and then it, went away. But the ice age, see, there's so much, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, and I agree with what they're saying about the Ice Age and stuff. They probably don't follow the same stuff that
B2
I
ice age.
follow, so
B2.
we could be coming to different conclusions about the same topics. I follow what's known as theosophy, so I'm just going to throw that out there just to see if they know anything about it.
What's it?
But yeah,
Theosophy or theosophy?
I know all about the ice ages and stuff.
She said B2 ice age. What does that mean? B2.
B2 iceberg melt, probably some reference to some specific name that some person gave this event. I'm not familiar with whoever they're referencing, but I'm inferring what they're talking about based on
You
everything
are
else that
too
they mentioned.
smart for me. I'm like inferring. What the hell does that mean?
Infer is like if I'm like talking about something and not like specifically mention something about it, but you can infer what I'm talking about even though I don't mention the thing. So like if I talk about an animal that farts a lot, that lives on a farm, that goes moo, you can
So
infer that I'm talking
implying.
about a cow.
You mean implying?
Similar, not exactly the same.
And she said, "You're not reading the comments, right? Me, right? But that's because I thought it was a typo. I didn't know the B2.
It's kind of hard to keep up with the comments, like every single one, and talk at the same time because your brain just doesn't
Is
want to
there?
like
It
do
is.
both at the same time.
It is, and I don't even have like how those rooms that have like loads of people in their live streams,
hmm
and I can't, like that. It is hard. It does. Your brain is like,
I've noticed I've noticed that, like even when they do like respond to somebody, it's only in the most like tiny way. Like they just hardly respond to them.
Oh, on the with the person on the live stream.
Yeah, I think that's how they manage.
Because it's
They're just like,
hard.
oh
That's why
yeah,
I love
haha.
hi, hi, and it's like, happy Easter, like I just because I'm trying. My mind is still like where I want to remain in, the mindset of the conversation, but I don't want people to feel ignored either. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's
saying?
one thing I hate about this stuff. Like even right now I'm having that issue. Like I can't explain everything in the amount of time that I feel like I have without making it, completely boring or clogging up the fucking airways, which I'm very
I
conscious of
think that
doing.
you should. I think that you should just go right ahead and talk about what.
It's not like a self-conscious kind of thing. It's more like um it's more of like I'm coming at it from one level and then to explain it or convey it to people who aren't me requires a whole new like narrative for me to come up with on the fly. So
Like
after doing that for
layman's
like a
terms.
little bit, I need a break before rather than doing it for like an hour. That would I could probably do that, but trust me, nobody wants that.
Do you mean layman's terms?
A little bit of that. I definitely have to at least bring it down to layman's terms a little bit, but I mean even like imagine I'm talking about a movie you've never heard and I'm just like, "Oh, and then this happened and then this guy stabbed," like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
And like me going, "Oh, what does that word
Yeah,
mean? What does
that
that word mean?"
that's exactly what I mean.
I won't do that. I'll let you out. I'll look it up in a dictionary. I'll have one handy because you are smart, and I do like listening to you. And I used to, like, you know what? And I just want to say that I think a lot of people say, like people who say they're sorry or apologize or say, that's like such a huge thing. And a lot of people do not do that, and you are one of the people who does. And it meant a lot to me. And so I just want to say that because I'm glad we're talking like as friends, because I've always liked you. Not liked you, like I don't want to date you. No, so I'm like, clarify that before you start hitting on me. No,
Yeah, no, you don't have to clarify that much.
you are a funny one. but but I mean, like I think you're young. I know you're younger than me. I think you're in your 20s, right?
Yeah, I'm like 27 and a quarter.
27. But you are smart, and I love that. And so that's why, like, I've always liked you. So I'm glad that we were able to, you know, iron out our differences because I like having you on here. Lulu says hi, SG in chat, and um, yeah, I am just so glad about that. Now you know though. Look at I was reincarnated by, like a Jewish person from Russia.
Yeah, no, apparently you were a Jew from Russia, so that's awesome
Yeah,
to know.
that's probably why I was so upset.
Yeah. Now that we know that about you, we need to know what other kinds of past lifetimes you've had.
I feel
Maybe
like
you've
I
been,
really wouldn't
maybe
want to
you were
want
like,
more.
a queen in like Egypt or something.
I was just gonna say a queen, but I don't know about Egypt.
Oh,
Probably want to be a queen in
have you ever
Egypt.
been drawn to Egypt at all?
Drawn to Egypt?
Yeah, some people they're just drawn to certain things, like like let's say you were really into Orientalism and things.
I, I mean, like you know what?
Were
That's a
you
good
ever
question.
mystified by the pyramids or anything?
Well, now I am about the
Yeah, that's
monolith.
funny that we're now on the obelisks.
You're so good at that because I'm always like oblique.
No, it's obelisk. I just like obelisk since you did that.
Oh, did I? Oh, obelisk.
Yeah, yeah,
I
no,
just
it's obelisk.
obelisk. I just find it so amazing that in Hi Lulu that in the book of Jeremiah that it says, oh, and it was toppled in Hierapolis. And when I was doing research,
You
that's
found
where
the
they
name Hieropolis, and you're like, wow, that's a city in Egypt.
is it is it listen to me, is it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm gonna start writing this shit down. No, I do write it down. But I mean, I think it's amazing that in the Bible it says that's where it was toppled and that's where they found it. Yeah, monolith. Monolith. See, I'll call them that. Monolith. But that sounds like I have a list.
Monolith and obelisk aren't necessarily the same,
That's
but
like
obelisks can be monolithic.
aren't monoliths more modern, but they're all used as a transmitter?
No, monolith is nothing to do with technology. It's more like a giant fucking like what would it be called?
Obelisk?
Um, something like an obelisk, like what is that called? I don't even know what it's called, but like just a giant thing just sitting there.
I just think it's
The word is
incredible. I call them strange objects planted by who knows who. That's
that's
like
perfect. I mean
per-
that's yeah.
perfect. I just think it's amazing when you were like explaining to me, what they were, when I was talking about what they could possibly be receiving and transmitting. And you said, well, back then they would have been like the power of prayer, right? Or somehow you put it.
Yeah.
Now, do
I
you
wanted to
think
go
that
more in
that
on
would make,
that too.
what was that?
I wanted to go more in on that topic sometime too.
Absolutely. Because that's, I'm like wondering, like, so do you, because you said I act, like to imagine how many people actually would have been praying around it. Now, do you think at that point it would vibrate?
It gets fuzzy here and there, but if like a lot of people get together and do that, do you mean the thing itself would start to vibrate or what?
Yeah, like what, like,
Okay, no, the thing itself wouldn't start to vibrate. It wouldn't be vibrating. It would be standing still just like it is. But have you ever felt that like tension in the air or excitement in the air?
yeah, like electricity in the
Yeah,
air.
that stuff. That's part of what it has to do with.
Yeah, well, that's Lulu said, "Who's on the piano with you?" I don't see his name. It's Lemon, and everything says Tracy is getting into like the granite theory, where there's a lot of crystals found in granite, and therefore crystals can produce electricity, thus doing harmonic vibration. And Mr. Rourke knew exactly who you were, Lemon Lime Lurky. Yes, block of stone is the obvious, just didn't know how to describe it. Block of stone. But yeah, that's what they said. There's inside it, there's like crystals, and it's a working apparatus that, can receive and transmit. Um, compare it could be comparable to the modern pylon. Which I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest with you, I don't even know
I've
what
come
a
across
pylon
that
is.
stuff with the piezoelectric stuff, and that stuff, there's a lot to it. Some of that stuff is definitely has some whatever the validity to it, but as far as the people who are like theorizing that like they were levitating stones by using stuff like that,
I never heard that.
that some people theorize that that's the thing is there's a lot of in betweens all over the place. But
I was
what
more
with
like
the
thinking
people that
about
you
you
heard,
saying the
with the
power of
people that you
prayer.
heard, with the people did you heard, did they go any further than just like theorizing that it could be used to do something like that, or did they just stop it there?
No, it was, that it's a working apparatus that has, like crystals and gold in it, and, but the gold was removed, and that there wasn't any hard metal that could have carved the things in it, so they would have had to use granite or whatever to make the things like the carvings in it, the hieroglyphics or whatever, but that it was a working apparatus. Now, I don't know what a pylon is. So once again, I'm going to ask you, what is a pylon?
Let me Google it real quick.
Like, it wasn't like I asked you
I'm
before.
thinking like a transmitter. A pylon is like, okay, it says the term or the name doesn't really describe what it is, but it's those giant like electrical tower things that like the electrical wires run on along the highway, you know, those really big ones.
Yeah.
That
And
thing.
that is what I'm like,
Okay,
you
and yeah,
know,
no, just by how that looks, I can see why they would think that it might be that's what that an obelisk is, but they're completely wrong.
what they were saying, like
And then
it was
I guess what they would be assuming is that with the added gold and the crystals and stuff, I guess that like they could be maybe like wireless pylons where they transmit energy across each other. I think there was some of that kind of stuff back in the Atlantis times, but the
like modern
problem,
pie, like, obelisk.
I don't know, and they definitely didn't see. That's the thing. That's the thing. The people who think that an obelisk had something to do with it is where it gets confusing because it's like, okay, imagine a cross, like, you know, a church cross.
Yeah.
Imagine like what you know what a cross is, i.e., a symbol of Jesus. Now imagine somebody thinking that, wow, that looks weird. Maybe it's a space antenna. That's where shit gets fuzzy because there were crazy things going on back in the day with like things that modern science doesn't acknowledge yet, but then people misconstrue and mess up and blur the lines with thinking something like an obelisk is something that it isn't because they don't fully know what an obelisk is, and
Oh, I
because an
get you.
obelisk looks like something that looks like something else, they then run with that idea, and
I
that's
get
what
you.
kind of
So
stuff.
what they're saying, like they could be just saying that it was a working apparatus that was
They
receiving
are
them
just saying that. That's
because they
they're
don't know.
theorizing it.
Because
They're
they don't know.
theorizing it.
I
The
get
base
that. Yeah.
what I'm saying is based on what I know about what obelisks are. What they're saying could exist, but it doesn't have to do with what obelisks are because what obelisks are was more in what I was telling you about along the more spiritual kind of attunement and had nothing to do with trying to channel any sort of electricity.
See, I thought you were saying like on another channel. You said another channel. So I was
But
thinking like on a spiritual channel, like maybe they thought, like God could speak through it, or maybe if thunder.
That is what I meant, but I don't mean God could literally like he's gonna
Not
start talking
speak,
like you
not
know the guy from
but you
like
know what I mean?
you know the guy from Power Rangers, that like fat guy that shows up on the hollow screen or whatever.
I never
Yeah.
watched Power
Oh, you've never
Rangers.
seen Power Rangers? Well, But yeah, no, God does channel through it. It's just like it's a very subtle type of energy.
Do you
It's
see
n- it's
what everything included wrote? It's I have it on the screen right here. Piezoelectric therapy or effect. You know what
let
that is?
me see. I mentioned piezoelectric earlier.
Oh, piezo.
Um,
See how good you guys are? Piezo. What does that mean?
it's just a name for the effect of like the electric current that's created from crystals and things of this thing. But this is a problem with talking about these topics is it's hard to like keep up with all the different factors at play all at once. So this is why I was talking about going very, very slow.
Do you know? I mean, do you think that there's any? Well, they use crystals for things like that, right? For like transmitters and stuff.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah, so it's
But
possible.
we're speaking on not even like in the modern use. They do use crystals even in a modern use, but we're speaking on a more like
But the crystal is in the granite, so they didn't put it in there for that
it's
purpose.
kind of like electromagnetism. Do you see? Have you ever or do you know what electromagnetism is?
Refresh me.
It's like you put a current through a specific arrangement of whatever, and it creates a magnetic field around it. And ta-da! Now you have a magnetic field out of fucking nowhere.
How do you get it?
You run a current through like a certain arrangement of like metal. So you can wrap like a coil around something and then you run a current through it, like electric current, and the electric
Yep.
current creates a magnetic field. And then you can use that magnetic field for different things.
Okay. That's way
And
past me.
piezoelectric is somewhat similar to that, except instead of creating a magnetism from the electricity, it creates an electricity from the crystals being the frequency that they are and the arrangement that they are. But the electricity that they create is like it can't be picked up the same way. Actually, I did see a thing where they theorized that they were powering light bulbs with this thing, but the turns out that the hieroglyph that they were thinking were light bulbs were not light bulbs at all. So this is the kinds of stuff that happens in your research as you run into a
So
lot of
what
dead
were
ends.
they?
Um, they were spiritual drawings depicting things that you can't really that they weren't trying to depict a physical thing. It was more like very pretty artistic themes that were drawn with human figures and other figures, and then when you don't know how to interpret that stuff, your mind can go crazy wondering what it could be,
I mean, because so it like
especially
kind of goes
especially when
to
there's
like how you
already.
asked me, did the whatever you were reading, you know, like stop at it was a receiving or transmitting, like working apparatus, or did it explain how it was? You know what I mean? Like, did they stop at saying it's not a working light bulb, or did they explain what
Oh,
they thought it was?
the person who's this, that's another thing that'll happen is like it'll be different sources. So like one source I heard say one thing, and then I eventually heard another source conclude, and then I went with their thing because whatever reason. And what the other source that concluded what they concluded that said that it wasn't a light bulb, what they had said was basically they were studying Egypt itself, so they weren't coming from the New Age conspiracy research kind of field. They were coming more from a
Science.
linguistic and cultural analysis kind of angle, and they were able to interpret the hieroglyphs properly and they said what I told you about, that it was depicting spiritual things and nothing to do with the the light bulb, and the people who were theorizing that it had something to do with a light bulb were people who knew nothing about anything about Egypt or any of the culture, and were literally just looking at the fact that it looked like a light bulb and theorizing that it could be a light bulb. Which then, what I'm trying to tell you, and this is just coming up now so I can tell you, is I've had a lot of experience where I've seen all sorts of crazy things. So it's not that I discount any theory that just goes in against like some mainstream or mainstream narrative of what it is. I can entertain very crazy ideas. It's just some things I've studied very, very thoroughly and have come to conclusions based on lots of research that then is very takes a long time to convey to people who
Well, I
aren't in
do
the
want to
same
say that
field.
they had a lot of advanced things back then, and I feel like it was Atlantis that they said they found things that were could be considered like almost computer like, you know? I feel like it was
Yeah,
Atlantis.
people say that like places like Egypt descend from like the remnants of Atlantis. So some of the technology that you or some of the things that you find in places like that were devolved forms of what they were imitating from what was available in times of Atlantis and things like that.
But they did have like, you know how scientifically I like it. I'm gonna write. I was going to write Easter. I'm sorry. I just want to type a comment so I can say to marker by have a good Easter. But yeah, scientifically, to try to see if they could have made a light bulb back then, with what they had. You know how
Mhm.
like Da Vinci's inventions, but he didn't have the technology to to do those things, but he made these inventions that nowadays they have made the same, the same,
Yeah,
they're working. They're working inventions
I
that
mean,
he didn't have.
have you seen the potato powering a light bulb thing?
I did see that. That was something they used to do in school, right?
Yeah, I mean, if a potato can power a light bulb, just imagine.
Right, exactly. But did they have potatoes back then?
They had potatoes, but I'm sure they weren't using them as light bulbs. But
Right.
as
I,
far as
I
where you're
feel like the
going,
scientific people who try to explore the
they had
scientific thing.
fires. They had fires, SG. They didn't need light bulbs.
Well, they did, yeah. But I mean, I feel like like just saying like the scientific side of things. Like there's a guy, check back to Bigfoot, right? But he scientifically will try to say how it could be possible. Like he was saying um, about how a primate has a fraction of a second. Their perception is a fraction of a second because they've done these tests on chimpanzees with where a number will pop up on the screen and then go away, and the chimpanzee was always right, and it was took it a fraction of a second, where a human being was 6 seconds for their perception. So, an advanced primate like Bigfoot per se could if their perception is a fraction of a second or less than what we see, when we finally realize we're seeing a Bigfoot, he could already be gone.
Yeah, no, I hear uh, where you're going.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that kind of made it more, made more sense to me that perhaps maybe that could be, correct. And he was also saying about how the mask that, these, the ancient Indians used to make and stuff, how they would look like a gorilla or a Bigfoot, the face of there was no TV or anything back then for them to have seen that. So they must have been carving something they'd seen. You still there? Still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Yeah, do you know what I mean though? Like there was no way for them to have seen that anywhere else other than if they saw it.
Of course. It's just then where did they see it?
Right, that's the thing. Like so maybe there was, maybe there is. I don't know because it seems so
Well,
odd.
related to that kind of in a obtuse kind of way. Remember when I told you that gnomes and elves had to do with drugs?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, just like that guy says that where did they get that image that they painted on
I
or
get
carved
it.
into the thing?
Uh-huh.
Same with the gnomes and the elves. Like they come from a specific place, and then
Oh,
that's where the idea originates, and then from there it gets carried on and passed down.
I get what you're saying. So maybe they were like hallucinating.
Yes, that's definitely one place where that mask figure could have come from. But
That's
but that's the thing. Hallucinating, some people uh, will give the kind of like associated with like it's not real. From what I've seen in my knowledge of hallucinations, I couldn't say that they're not real because like I don't what the fuck is making me think of little gnomes dancing around and shit if they're not real? Like where would that come from? You know, like um
tell us about that. I want to hear. So
well me personally I haven't seen any gnomes and elves, but I do the kinds of I dabble in the kinds of drugs that some people who have taken a lot bigger doses than the ones that I've taken mention seeing gnomes and elves and things like that.
Lulu said LSD, mushrooms.
Yeah, those kinds of things and more. DMT apparently. I think DMT is where one guy. No. Maybe. I think one guy said DMT brings on some elves,
Well,
but
I was that
go ahead.
DMT. Now that's in your brain, isn't it? And they're just trying to replicate it. It's in plants too, right, or something? Or
That's another thing. It is in your brain, and it is in a lot of plants too. And apparently, it's like a neurotransmitter.
well, I
So
heard that DMT is like it's. This is what I heard that DMT appears twice, like in your life from your own brain. It's when you're born and when you die. It's to ease you in life and ease you out. So when people are dying and they are seeing people who passed away, you know, it's like the DMT in their brain to ease them out, to make their death more, you know, uh, more
with that kind of
easier.
with that kind of stuff, it's kind of like chicken or the egg, where it's like, um, do we have these kinds of thoughts because our brain is firing, or is our brain firing because we have that's the way that it manifests within physical reality? You know what I mean?
I always thought that thought of the DMT to ease us in and ease us out was proof that there's a merciful God, like, like a compassionate supreme being or something. Not a merciful God, I mean like a compassionate, like to ease us in and ease us out.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like it kind of made me think, perhaps that a bad trip. Oh yeah, bad trips can get scary. You drink gold dots, shrooms, and laugh for 16 hours. Yeah, when I used to do micro, like mescaline. Have you ever done mescaline?
No.
No?
Have you?
Yeah.
What? Damn. I want to party. I want to party with SG. Shit.
Yeah, mescaline, that was, you would laugh and laugh and laugh. Lulu said she had a bad trip and it was super real to me and almost went to the hospital, but it ended, thankfully. I learned my lesson.
How were the trippy aspects? Like, sure, there's the laughing part that's associated every now and then, but were there any like really trippy shit, or were you too euphoric to even like pay attention?
I did have a bad trip on mescaline.
Oh, you even
Um,
had a bad one eventually? Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
what's
did.
fucked up. Like, if you don't know what you're expecting, it can go pretty south really quick. Because it's like, I'm not signing up for a 10-hour fucking, like, party, like,
Because
in my
I
head.
used to always make you laugh, like laugh, laugh,
Yeah, they
laugh.
last forever. They last forever.
I did acid once when I was in England,
Yeah, acid
and
lasts a while too.
acid was the worst. I'm just saying. Like I did acid. Okay, I did paper acid. It had pink
I
panther.
got lucky enough that like I found a like comfortable spot to relax in and put some music on and learned how to like, carry
When you
myself
get
through
older,
the
you
trip.
really can't do trippy drugs because you start
Yeah.
thinking too much. And not
Oh
that I did
yeah.
it when I was older. I was 16 when I did the paper acid, the Pink Panther. But that was horrible. Like Lulu said that she, felt like she wanted to go to the hospital. That's how
Yeah,
I
no, you know what the issue is? The issue is when you're so fucked up, you're supposed to be letting go because that's what you do when you're that fucked up. But we have this like normal reality that we live in. So then what people try to do is they hold on to reality, and then that's where the issue happens. Is because you're just too fucked up on drugs. You need to pass out is what you need to do.
when you're older though, you're thinking about too much stuff, like that's what I think. But
Yeah,
when
that
I was
happens too. All that baggage and stuff
yeah,
comes undone. Yeah, that's
yeah, it's not fun, you trip out and then you think you're going crazy and you think you're gonna be like insane forever, like the trip isn't gonna end.
yeah.
And I was
That's what
like, are you like
I learned how to like take a tiny bite of shrooms to see like how much it really hits me, and then I learned how unless I really want to trip balls to not take too much.
girl, I was thinking I had to go to the asylum.
Oh
I
yeah,
was like,
dude.
yeah, I'm crazy.
Real quick. One
Yeah,
time I only took like a few tiny ones. They were babies, like smaller than your pinky. And I was, oh no, what did I do?
yeah, because sometimes it doesn't hit you like quick, so you think, oh, maybe I should take a little more.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, now
Well,
it's
oh
hitting me.
no, no, it's like a train hitting you.
Yeah, and you just think it's never gonna end. And I mean, I said to my nephew, he's like, not my nephew, my cousin, he was like 7 years old, and I said, you better go get Auntie Jean, because I felt she needs to get me in the hospital right now. And my mother wasn't there yet; she's still over here in America, and I said, oh, my mother's going to get here and I'm going to be locked up in an asylum, you know? But thankfully, it ended. But it was awful. And then after that, when I came back to the States, I tried window pane acid. Did you ever try that?
What kind?
Window pane acid.
Nope. Sounds
It's,
fucking fancy though.
yeah, it's clear. It's totally clear. It's like not paper, it's clear. And that made me laugh and laugh and laugh. And we were all laughing. We were all in the car laughing. And this kid, he goes in to like get some weed. We were young, like 17. And he goes, I don't want anybody to think it was like yesterday. So he goes in to get some weed and he gets back in the car and we're all still laughing, laughing. And he goes to his friend Marvin, they were both in the front seat. He goes, what are you doing? And his friend Marvin goes, I'm laughing, I'm laughing. And he punched him right in the chest and he goes, you're not laughing no more. Which just made us laugh more. I
Yeah,
just think about it. Funny.
shit gets fucked up when you're tripping. Like,
Yeah,
how did the
I,
guy who got punched feel? Was he laughing? Or,
I can't
or,
remember, but we were
or
in the back
that's what's
seat.
fucked up is like, I like that shit when everybody's happy and shit, but have you seen like when things go south and like things get really psychic and like you get really like self-conscious or stuff like that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
like
kind of
on the
stuff
next
is just like,
episode.
ugh, I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling.
I was like crying, and then I was laughing, and I was crying, and I was laughing. I
Oh
was like,
man.
I'm done with mescaline.
Honestly, I've like out of the trips that I've had, which I'm gonna say like maybe like a little less than 20 or like somewhere in between 10 and 20. Most of them were good. And the few that weren't good, I never took too much where I couldn't control it. It was more just like unpleasant, oh God, I shouldn't have taken it kind of level.
Mescaline was always fun until that bad trip.
It was always fun until that one time it wasn't.
Yeah, mescaline was, you would just laugh like crazy on mescaline. Like, I almost drowned one time on
Have you
brown.
ever listened to music while tripping on anything?
Yeah, that's why I was crying because the video
Yeah,
was,
that place where that stuff takes you is like kind
well,
of a
there was a
place I like
video
to
on
go.
MTV and it was like, it was, their faces were changing and it was like, you make me want to cry. And the faces were changing. The video was like real trippy. And
Mhm.
it started making me cry. Like I was freaking. And then I was like, you gotta leave to my friend. And then I was like, you gotta stay. You gotta
Oh
leave.
yeah.
You gotta stay.
Oh yeah. Shit
Yeah,
gets weird.
yeah, it was. But one time, my friend, she was tripping and she's like, you know, there really was, the bugs like around the, lights flying, like there was
Mhm.
bugs. And she's like, can't you see all the bugs? And I'm like, no. You fucking somebody. There's no bugs there. That's the worst to do. I guess I just will nowadays. I just kind of smoke weed.
Yeah, no, I kind of like in a trip like that, I kind of like separating from the group, like at least like three-fourths into the trip. Like you need at least a little bit of alone time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then again, you need somebody to talk you down.
Sometimes, yeah. If you're really fucked up, luckily I never got that fucked up. Like the furthest I ever got fucked up was where like I'm tripping, but I'm not like, oh my God, I need somebody here with me.
I don't know if they even make mescaline anymore, do they?
I'm
Microdot?
sure it is, but that shit's rare because I've never had any. It comes
Mr.
from,
Rourke
I
said he
don't
used to go
know
to.
all the places that it comes from, but one place it comes from is from a cactus.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's like you could get
So
three
if you
for
got the if
five.
you got the shit from a cactus, which I'm assuming because that's the only place I know where it comes from, that shit's good.
Yeah, but it looked just like a little tiny pill back then.
Well, yeah, it's a synthesized powder though, you know.
Yeah, and you could get three for five.
Oh
Three microdots
man,
for five.
god
Yeah,
damn.
it's a nice cheap high. Pretty
Yeah.
good. And my mother was all like, you
Honestly,
get
I'm glad shit wasn't that cheap, or I'd probably like be
uh,
fucked.
you could get three
I'd
joints
be
for
fucked in the
five.
head even more than I already am.
Yeah, it was like three for five for joints and all that stuff back then. My sister told me, back in the hippie days, you could go like, the park and people were just like selling weed and just, the hippie days. They were just all hot. Don't you remember like the Woodstock video?
Yeah,
And
I've seen them.
yeah, and they were going, don't take the brown mescaline or the yellow mescaline. It's bad. Don't take it. You
Oh,
remember that?
I think I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was too trippy for me. I don't think I'd want to be like in those days. See, I was never like a deadhead or anything, like all trippy and stuff. I just like the laughing part. Lulu said one time somebody put PCP in a joint and it was equally a worse experience. You
Oh
can't,
God, PCP. Fuck that. Who the fuck is putting PCP in joints and just handing them around? What the fuck?
isn't that awful?
I remember hearing about people lacing shit like that, but I didn't know that was actually like happening.
Yeah, they do that. Absolutely. They were
What?
like nickying things
Okay,
on
yeah,
me.
there's some people who like do it like purposely trying to like take advantage of somebody. So was it like that? Were they like trying to fucking rape your ass or something? What the fuck?
No, it's just more like, people just, they would tell you like you take a hit of the joint and oh, there's this and that or whatever. Like I never did PCP or angel dust or LSD. I
Mhm.
never, that was never really around when I was, you know, angel dust. I don't even know what that is.
I don't know if that's heroin or
Yeah, what is
coke.
that made out of? I haven't even
Right.
heard that for a long time,
I don't know.
Mr. Rourke. Yeah, angel dust. And LSD, like, what is that? Is that a pill or what is it?
LSD is acid. Didn't you say you took acid?
Yeah, I took acid. I didn't
Yeah,
know, like,
it's a clear liquid. It's synthesized from ergot fungus.
fungus?
Ergot fungus, which is like a bread yeast
Ugh.
fungus. But isn't it funny? It's a
Secular says
fungus.
that's
It comes from a fungus, just like mushrooms are a fungus.
mm. Secular said that's why there is so much arrested development and chaos in society now, the rampant drug use. Do you think so?
Definitely a contributing factor. Although some of it is also just coping with society is why they're using the drugs too. But when I see some people who do I smoke a lot of fucking weed, right? But I don't do like meth or heroin or anything. And when I see people who do that shit, it's like they're just trying to numb themselves from like reality.
I can't even imagine like anybody ever
Like,
getting the urge to want to,
yeah,
put,
like I like to relax and like
yeah.
chill a little bit, like, ease, but I don't want to get so fucked up that I'm like gone in another dimension,
And
forgetting that
I
I,
also don't want to get so fucked up that I'm like falling asleep in a bowl of ice cream
yeah, with my kid crying in the back, shit.
with my kid
Oh
crying.
no, apparently Angel Dust is fucking PCP, so okay then.
And somebody else said animal tranquilizers, which I think I heard that
Yeah,
LSD.
animal tranquilizer, what do they call that shit?
I think that was the LSD.
No, LSD is not an animal tranquilizer. It's just some research chemical some dude fucking came up with while he was playing with fucking chemicals, and then it like soaked into his like fucking skin, and then he tripped balls, and then he
Trip
eventually
balls.
he
Do
eventually he eventually I don't know if he patented it or whatever he did with it,
you know
but
that bear patented heroin?
ketamine is an animal tranquilizer. Ketamine.
Can you believe though that bear holds the patent for heroin?
They hold it. That's pretty funny.
Isn't that
But I
awful?
mean, heroin isn't like morphine
But they
heroin.
hold a patent for it's the actual heroin. That's what
Isn't it opium? Isn't it? Doesn't it come from opium?
I think so. But it says they hold a patent for heroin.
Yeah,
When
no,
you look it
I'm
up,
sure they have the patent, but I mean,
which makes me wonder. Like, so what does that mean? That they're still making money off heroin?
well, it's heroin, but not heroin. Heroin. It's like heroin in a different form, in a different name.
What about this fentanyl? What do you think about that?
Really bad stuff made in China, killing a lot of people. That's a shit
Yeah,
to fucking kill George Floyd.
yeah, right. I know, but it's pharmaceutical, right?
Yeah, apparently. I think so.
I think most of these pharmaceutical companies are behind a lot of the drug use now. Like the whole drug epidemic, the way it's worse. I mean, it's really surprising to me, like these
They're
benzodiazepines.
definitely behind the opioid epidemic.
Yeah, they're behind it. Yeah, and I mean the benzodiazepines or whatever they're called, and the
Yeah.
benzos, and
Hmm.
how they're the Ativan, the Ambien, Zoloft, Xanax, but these apparently,
Yeah. Do you know the rapper DMX?
yeah, in front of him, y'all gonna make me lose my
Yeah,
mind.
apparently he overdosed today. Mr. Work brought it up, but I saw that too.
I saw
So
him.
I hope he survives because he's got some good songs. He's got some really good songs, especially like he's got a couple that are like more like like heartfelt kind of. They're really good.
So is he dying?
He overdosed. I don't know. I don't think he's died. He probably didn't die, but he overdosed.
I like his song. The only one I know is that y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. feel like I saw him in concert.
But yeah, Lulu, I don't fucks with any opioids either. I've been on morphine once when I got hit by a car, and I mean it felt okay. I don't. I'm sure you could get addicted to it if like you didn't have much going in life. But me, I kind of like the mind stimulating effects of weed, so that's the main reason why I'm a pot smoker. So I
I've
like
always
my
been a
mind
pot smoker.
stimulated. I don't really like it numbed.
Yeah, I've always been a pot smoker, I'll say,
Hmm.
Yeah, I do like weed. But I don't know. I think that the dispensaries are very expensive, and I think you could get it for cheaper if you just buy it from somebody selling weed.
Definitely. If
Yeah,
you can get a good hook, if you can get a good like source, you know, because there's a lot of garbage weed in the black market, and then yeah, the fucking dispensary shit is way overpriced.
really, it is. Now, is it as easy for people to get
It is
a
really good
yeah,
shit though. It is really good shit though.
what the
But
dispensary
yes, but is it easy for people to what?
to get like a good hookup now? You know what I mean? Like
I
I
don't.
know that
I have no clue. Me, I haven't had too good of a one. I just found another one that's finally a decent one, but I've been fucking haven't had a one for a while. But I guess it's who you know and where you're from.
I feel like old school people are the best people to buy your weed from.
I wouldn't doubt it
Yeah, because
because they've
then you're
been in the
still
game for
getting
long
your
enough. They have
7
experience.
grams. Like a dime bag was when like from what I know is 7 grams, and then it's a gram for the it's a gram for the bag that you got to consider. 7 grams of weed, so it's 8 grams, and it usually would be like $40, 40, $50
Hmm.
for
There's
seven
also
grams.
different like qualities too, you know.
Right, but usually, I mean, the
So
old school
are you
people.
talking like high grade?
Well, the old school people are always going to smoke better weed.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like the younger people will have good taste.
I've seen weird prices though. Like the shit that I'm getting right now, it's really good for way cheap.
SG is a bud tender.
That's
It's a
funny.
bud tender, yeah. So
You
you're
know, like
the
a bartender.
yeah.
People who work at dispensaries are bud tenders.
Oh, really? Is
Yep.
that what they call them?
Yep.
And they take tips too. They put out little tip jars there.
I bet they do.
Yeah. Did you ever go to the dispensary?
I actually don't have one in my state.
Really? What state do you live in, if you don't mind me asking?
I live in Kentucky. Shit's not even legal here.
Really?
Nope.
Wow. That's
But I'm not letting it stop me. Haha.
no. I know that. I mean, none of us
But
have
yeah, doesn't
been.
that suck? Doesn't that suck?
I can't believe I thought like everywhere was legal now.
It should be. Uh, it will be soon enough. It will be soon enough. We have
But
CBD legal here. CBD is illegal everywhere now. That's what you might be thinking of.
no, legal, yeah, CBD, but who wants that?
Actually, that stuff can get you high if you apply enough of it. Like you can get like some shit. It's like a body massage lotion kind of stuff, and you can get high off if you take enough.
Really?
Definitely. My
Huh.
mom, she said she gave it to like her boyfriend and he doesn't smoke and he was cracking up apparently.
she, my friend makes pot brownies, and I know that she makes it pretty good because I know I laugh like crazy with them, but I don't eat them. Trying to be all innocent. I do nothing. I'm an angel, contrary to what people believe. I think I'm gonna end the live because I'm gonna check out Bobbles. I don't know if you've ever been there, and then I might come back later. Are you in the same time zone as me?
What time is it where you're at?
10:30 or no 10:15.
Yeah, I'm in the same time zone.
Yeah. Well, you're in Kentucky. You should have seen a lot of Bigfoot there, by the way.
I don't live in like the forest or the
Oh,
country.
I don't live in the forest with the gnomes and the elves.
Yes, I live in the city with the boring people.
I know, right? Well, probably more action there than in the forest anyway. But I'll probably come back on later, if you're around. But I definitely like if you want to contact me through like comments so that we can set up something where you can talk about Atlantis.
Yeah, we need to talk behind the scenes too a little bit, so like we can get a little things without any people's eyes. You
Here,
know.
you know what? I'm in the private. I'm gonna send you my phone number, but don't give it to anybody, okay?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, because
I'll
you know.
save it and then I will send you a message telling you it's me sometime.
Okay,
I'll
I'm gonna
either
do it
do
right.
it later tonight or tomorrow.
All right, I'm doing this right now. So hold on, give me one sec, and you can get in the private chat, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, there we go. So save that, and then call me, and that way we can exchange phone numbers and do a show on like the Atlantis, and then I can like make a like a little ad thing for it, so everybody can come to it.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. Let's see. Mr. Rourke said, "Let's smoke." You know what? I really wish I could, but I don't have any weed anyway.
Do you have a weed man?
Yeah, I got a couple. Because I'm old school. Like
Yeah, I
it
was
seems.
gonna say, are you old school by any chance?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like when you get around the old school. I have a friend that I haven't been around. I haven't seen him lately, but I know I used to go to his house, and man, he would have friends that would come over, and they were all growing their own strains of weed, like really good too,
Oh man, hell
and like
yeah.
big smoke out, like just a bone after bone after bone, and it's
Sign
like
me up.
you would love that, huh?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'd love it right now, actually. I'm dying for a weed, but no, I'm not.
It's just one of those things that like, oh, that sounds nice.
It does. It kind of sucks when you don't have weed. You always have weed.
I try to stay stocked up, yeah.
See, I got to do that. I just haven't, cause whatever.
Definitely don't keep anything that's gonna sit there too long. Like make sure you're gonna smoke it soon because you don't nothing worse than dry old weed.
Oh yeah, never like keep the bag open or anything,
Oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't sit around
Yeah, that's
long.
good. That's good. Smoke it up.
I will. She said I had a cannabis. I don't know. Mr. Rourke said I had a cannabis cup with 12 strains. What
Oh
is that?
man, sounds
What's a
good.
cannabis cup?
I don't know if he means like a trophy or just a cup with like that many strains in it.
Hmm. What's that? Like a real cup?
I guess a cup, yeah.
Huh.
The
I
only
know that
reason why I
Lulu
think of the
even said,
trophy is because
yeah,
there's actually this thing called the cannabis cup, where it's like a trophy that they give for like the people who win like the best strain of the year or whatever. There's a huge marijuana culture in like places like California and shit.
yeah, I hear people get killed for like, like coming up upon like a big marijuana field or something. And it's a big, people are making a lot of money working in those marijuana places and
Isn't it
everything.
weird? Isn't it weird? Some people get arrested while other people get to make millions. Makes no sense.
Well, what is really, the real crapper of it is that some people actually spent so much time in jail, you know, and then all of a sudden it's legal.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so, like they should get their life back then. I mean, they miss like life. Like I noticed one of my friends, he literally like lost 10 years of his life. That his kids growing up and everything, and then they send him some letter saying, "Oh well, the person, whatever. Then this is legal, so we're taking all these back, all these things. And it's like, in the meantime, here he missed his, 10 years of his kids growing up. They should be able to sue. That should be able to be a civil suit.
Yeah, no. That whole weed thing becoming legal now, and the whole like talk around the expungement of past criminal records, and then all of the unfairness that's and all of the criminalization of people that's gone on in the past. All that shit is ridiculous,
It
and
is.
it's like it can't even be righted. Like there's nothing to fix. Like you can't
Yeah, you can't.
fix.
You can't
You
give them
can't
back for 10 years.
exactly. Like that's how fucked up this shit
It
is.
is. That's why when people sue for wrongful death suits, I always think, well, how much money is going to replace their life? Like, is it okay that the person who, actually did the crime and killed them gets away with it as long as you get 27 million?
Yeah, they should have to donate that money to something, you know?
Yeah, that's what I think. But who knows what they'll do with 27 million?
I'd love to
Hopefully pay
see
back
it.
all the taxpayers that paid for his child support all these years.
Mm.
All right, so I'm gonna close, you guys, but I'm gonna peace, love, and tacos and count down. I loved having you on here, Lemon. Thank you so much, and thank you all of you for coming in the live stream.
I'm surprised nobody else came in, but I'm kind of glad nobody did because it would only make things harder for me to explain.
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard enough for me to keep up with, like, the
Yeah, isn't
chat.
it?
It
Isn't it?
is awful. He says I use 13-gallon garbage bags. I need to find Mr. Rourke, right?
Oh man.
Yeah, right. All right, Mr. Rourke, I'm going to your house.
If I hadn't just found a new dealer that I'm pretty happy with, I would be hitting you up.
No shit. I wish I had that. Lulu, yeah, no kidding. 2 years in jail for selling weed and the same amount for sexual offenders. Yeah, that's pretty shitty. That's fucked up. That's crazy. All right, guys. Peace, love, and tacos. I'm counting down. 5, 4,
4,
three,
3, 2,
2, 1.
1.
Bye, guys.
Toodaloo.
Make sure you get that number, Lemon.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right. Bye. Thank you for being on.